Okay, we're back, and this is part 2. So we're just going to go into camera function here and take a peek. As you can see, most of these options are the same as in the HD series, but we can control the speed of the auto exposure, fast, medium, and slow, which is kind of cool. It just gives you an option of the transition speed. Now, I really like this option, the auto iris limit. You can limit the open and close level of the iris. So if you have a sweet spot of your lens and you know that your lens performs best between f2.8 and f5.6, well, you can just set those values here, and then when you're using the auto iris, you know that the lens won't open up past f2.8 and won't close down past f5.6. So I'm just setting f2.8 here, and well, probably f8 is good for us here. We've got the extended electronic iris limit here that we can set for 1, 2, or 3 f-stops. This actually controls the shutter speed. Now I've just gone into switch set, and this is a first menu that we've had that extends beyond the normal area of the screen. So I just want to show you what happens. Instead of there being a page 2, it just scrolls much the way a window would on a computer. So that makes things much simpler. Now instead of having a whole, page 1, page 2, page 3 of a deep menu, we can now just scroll up and down, which is kind of cool. Here we've got the gain levels for the gain switches. You can go up to plus 18 decibels, and I'm just going to set these for 3 and 6, and of course leave the low level on 0, and that just is the assignment for the switch, the toggle switch. And of course we still have 3 user buttons and the lens return button that we can assign. User 1 is already set for bars, and user 2 I normally set for preset white balance. And user 3 we can assign to load a file. We can load scene files and picture files, which I'll discuss a little later. And we can also assign clip review. But I'm going to leave this on load file because clip review is also assignable in the lens return button. Now the lens return button is that little button on the lens itself above the record button. And normally on a tape-based system you would hit that button, it would rewind the tape and show you the last few seconds of your take. So it's kind of like checking the gate. Well, this camera does the same thing, except of course it's tapeless. But we can also set it to mark the clip as being okay. So if the director says that was a good take, circle it. You could use that button and mark it as okay. Focus assist is also an option, but we're going to leave this on clip review, and the default is to review the last 5 seconds, or you can review the top 5 seconds, or you can review the whole clip and just watch the whole thing. So that's kind of a cool function. You don't have to go back into playback mode and go to your clip and then select it. You can just hit that one button and it'll show you the whole last clip that you just shot. Now I won't go into detail on skin area, which is a leftover feature from the HD series, or the spot meter, which probably requires a whole unit on its own. But I do want to mention that the AE level option can be set to use the dial on the outside to adjust your variable speed frame rates instead of the auto exposure level. So some people have asked, well, how do we do that externally on the camera without going to the menu? Well, that's it. You have to go into AE level and set it for variable frame rate. When the camera isn't in variable frame rate mode, then it just defaults back to AE level. Okay, so let's go back out. And to back out of these menus, you just always go to the word back, or you can hit the stop button on the outside. All right, camera process. Here we go. Detail. This works exactly the same as the HD series. This is just artificial edge enhancement. I normally shoot on -7, and if you go into detail adjust, these are all the same settings from the HD series, along with the skin detect. I go over all this in detail on the DVD, so if you're interested in the finer details of detail adjust, feel free to look up that chapter. But at the moment, let's just go back again. Master black. This just sets the pedestal level where the base black is. We now have black toe, which before was just named stretch and compress. And I'm glad that they've now named it toe, because that is the proper name for the toe of the curve. And as you can see, we can still set it for stretch or for compress. And now we can adjust where the toe actually starts. At the moment, it defaults to 10% IRE, but we can adjust it all the way down to 5% or all the way up to 15%. And this just really gives you much more control of that shadow area. And the opposite of that, of course, is the knee. The opposite of toe is knee. And once again, we'll set it to manual, which is what I would normally do. And those of you who like to play with gamma will be pleasantly surprised that we can go down to 70% knee now, which is great for controlling our highlights. And once again, I go into that in detail in the DVD. We'll set the white clip 108. Here's the gamma, film out gamma, cinema, and standard. These are still holdovers from the HD series. And we can just set the level. This just shifts the curve up and down. Now, the white balance. Here's our preset temperature, and we can paint the white point only for bank A or bank B, not for preset. But the coolest thing in here is that now for shading of a lens, we actually have some feedback from the camera itself. So let's just go into shading. And I assume preset works fine with the Canon lens, but we want to manually shade this lens. This is the 13 by 3.5 millimeter. And I'm just going to shoot a flatly lit white background and set the lens for somewhere midway in its zoom range, and set the iris to f4. And now you can see in the bottom right, the camera is now scanning the top and the bottom of the image and telling us what the difference is for the red, green, and blue. So you can see it's actually pretty close. It's not bad, but it's telling me right now that there is a difference between the red and green. So normally you would only adjust the green. I'm just going to go down to green here, and because I'm getting -1, I have to, I suppose, give it a positive value to counteract that. So let's start adjusting the green to compensate. Now I've just cranked this all the way up to max, and you can see that we've got magenta at the top of the screen and green at the bottom of the screen, and this is exactly what we don't want. This is chromatic aberration, and that's, if you see the green or the magenta at either the top or bottom, you know that you have to adjust the lens shading. So you can see when we put another large value in on the other side, the magenta goes to the bottom and the green goes to the top. So let's just bring it back in. I know that we're probably not going to need a huge value here. Looks like 17 is doing it, and you can see that on the bottom right corner, the camera is now giving us feedback that on the green gun we're even on the top and bottom. They're both the same. We still need a tiny bit of an adjustment on the red, so we'll just go into red, and let's see, we actually want to go the other direction. If we have a minus value, we want to bring it to positive. So we'll just bring it over to the positive side, and there we go. It's just fine. Looks like 13 seems to work. Okay, so now the camera is telling us even on red, green, and blue, and it's saying that we're completely consistent from the top to the bottom. We don't have any white shading issues with magenta and green.